Hey guys, how are you doing? Happy Sunday. Today I'm going to be doing my first ever book review on this channel, and it's going to be of Carte Blanche by Jeffery Deaver. Carte Blanche is the first literary reboot. I mean, you can see from the title here, 007, it's pretty self-explanatory that this is a James Bond book. It is the first it's the first literary reboot of Ian Fleming's Super Spy. And it's in the hands, like I said, of famous mystery novelist Jeffery Deaver. In the novel, James Bond has been recently promoted to the ODG, which is the Overseas Development Group, which is a group within the British government designed, as M puts it in the book, that to try to protect the realm by any means necessary. This gives Bond Carte Blanche, title. Carte Blanche is essentially a license to kill. It's essentially the license to kill in this book. To complete a mission how he sees fit, as long as it's on British soil. So he can kill, he can do whatever the hell he wants, he can use whatever force necessary to complete the mission as long as it's on British soil. So Bond's assignment in the book is to uncover a mysterious plot only known as Incident 20. That's the only information that they have to go off of, which is supposedly this great calamity that will result in thousands of deaths. So this makes Bond travel to places like Serbia, Dubai, and South Africa to figure out what Incident 20 is and how it can be stopped. The only problem is that Bond has a week to stop it, so the book plays out over the events of a week, and each chapter is a day. The book is divided into each daily sections, and then there's chapters to cover the events of the entire day. So here's what's really good about Carte Blanche. For those who don't know, Jeffery Deaver is a mystery novelist who's hired by the Flemming estate to write the new Bond novel. So Jeffery Deaver, he takes his experience as a mystery author and puts it to great use here. I mean, the beginning of the novel, you're literally just as lost as Bond is, and you figure things out with Bond, and Deaver ensures that you don't figure everything out until Bond figures it out. And it kind of shows how effective it is as a mystery novel. So you have, so it's really interesting because you really don't know anything about Incident 20, so it sort of builds up and builds up and builds up, and as Bond is figuring out intelligence and figuring out information, figuring out details, everything starts unwinding, everything starts making sense to the reader, and it kind of leaves you, there's surprises, there's twists, there's often great, it's a great book to ensure that, it's a great mystery novel that keeps you on the edge of your seat and keeps you guessing. One also thing that's really great about this is the spy espionage aspect, Like, mystery and spy novels can often go hand in hand, in my opinion, and while there are some action sequences in the book, Deaver remembers that this is a spy novel, and makes sure Bond knows that too. So for a third of the book, Bond poses as someone else, like an arms dealer, to get close to the villains and try to discover what's going on. This sets up a lot more tension, since Bond doesn't go run in guns blazing at every chance he gets, like in the movie. So Bond has to be smart, he has to think ahead, he has to be intelligent, he has to make sure he has all the ground and bases covered out of fear of being exposed and making matters a whole hell lot more complicated. So Bond is able to do that, and and it's a really great thing to see, that the fact that Bond is actually having to use his brain and his intelligence. Not to say Bond isn't intelligent, but it really plays out here in this book. Now to talk about Bond specifically, of course it's hard to not talk about anything about James Bond without talking about the character himself. Deaver's Bond isn't really as cruel and cold as Ian Fleming's Bond. Ian Fleming's Bond, if you ever read some of the books, he's a cruel son of a bitch, the James Bond in Ian Fleming's books. He is a very cruel, he's very calculated, he's very cold, he's a tough son of a bitch. And, what they have in common is that they're both intelligent and they both avoid killing, that they have to, but do so if necessary. I find this Bond sort of a mixture between the Pierce Brosnan, a mix of a Pierce Brosnan kind of Bond and a Daniel Craig kind of Bond, which are personally my two favorite Bonds. I mean, there's much more depth to this character, and so much more of a pleasure to see. You see kind of a Bond that is sort of willing, everyone jokes around, there's a lot of criticisms towards Bond of his negative views towards women. Here, Bond doesn't have that. Bond has most of the women that Bond works with in his, in this book, and the Bond that he encounters are very powerful, very independent, and very successful women. I mean, you see Bond, swooning over someone. You see Bond, almost not falling in love to the point that he fell in love with Vesper Lind in Casino Royale, but you see him seriously wanting to consider having a relationship with someone, not a one-night stand, but a relationship, with the women around him, and it's really interesting to see that bond. You know, we see a more 21st century Bond, I guess. And one thing that's also really interesting is fan service, and truth is, I'm often mixed about fan service. Die Another Day, that movie, the James Bond movie with Pierce Brosnan, did way too much fan service. It's like, oh look, Q has all the gadgets, and, all the stuff from Bond's Adventures. Whew. Carte Blanche does a great job with that. It brings back M, who is reversed, ever since Judi Dench took the reins of M in the Bond films. In the books, M has become a woman, but here they bring M back as a man. You have Q again, but Q is not so much as one specific person as a branch. While there is a Q-like character in the book, he is, he's not referred to directly as Q, it's just Q branch. You have Moneypenny is back, and even Mary Goodnight, for you Bond fans out there, is the Bond girl from Man with the Golden Gun. She serves as sort of James's secretary. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Again, short video, short review, just to really say that Carte Blanche is a really excellent novel. I mean, it's really well written, it's a really good mystery novel, mystery spy novel that really grabs you from the word go. I mean, I really recommend it to anyone. I mean, yes, it's a James Bond book, if you guys are, if you guys read the Ian Flemming books or are not fans of James Bond, this book will hopefully change your perception and change your mind on Bond, because it's more than just someone going in there with a gun and shooting up the places and beating the living hell out of people. This is a really seriously well thought out novel, and Bond is a really intelligent character, and a really well developed character in this book. And I'll probably make you forget it's a Bond novel, a really good mystery novel. It just happens to have the James Bond name on it. Well, that's pretty much it for today. I'm hopefully going to be able, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a list this week, but if I can, I will try to post that up. Again, I don't know what my list is going to be this week. I usually plan those at the last minute. I probably really shouldn't. But that's the way it usually turns out. So, yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Alright, peace. Have a good week.